My, oh my, welcome into the Farzy Show here at the Steven Singer Studios. Good morning to everyone out there. I'm Marc Farzetta, and we got plenty to get into today, mostly regarding the Philadelphia Eagles. As Jonathan Gannon at a press conference yesterday, that we're going to get into a lot of things that he said, but I'm kidding you not. We have a first-time guest on the Farzy Show today. I reached out to my good friend Hollis Thomas, who I hinted at yesterday. He unfortunately was busy yesterday, so today we're going to record an interview for tomorrow's show. So we will have a defensive tackle's opinion on everything. It won't be hump day. I'm sorry. I know we try to get Hollis on hump days if we do get Hollis, but it'll have to be on a Thursday. But let's face it, if you're Hollis Thomas, every day's hump day. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, gross. So when it comes to the guest today, Garry Cobb joins the show. G Cobb, which he joins the show coming up today. You look forward to speaking to Garry Cobb. I'll say this. Garry Cobb, from the top rope, as the kids like to say. From the top rope when it comes to his criticism of Jonathan Gannon, especially his criticism of Fletcher Cox, who is having a very, very, very no good, very bad start to the season. And it's not about double teams. It's not about, I don't even think it's really age with Fletcher Cox. You're talking about guys like 31 years old. Like, Fletcher Cox isn't ancient by any means. Does he have a lot of miles on the body? Has he had injuries? Sure. But what drives me absolutely bonkers is when people start making the double team excuse for him. Because there were plenty of occasions on Sunday against the Chiefs, and will probably be again coming up this Sunday against Carolina Panthers, that Fletcher Cox will have one-on-one battles. We're going to introduce you to someone today that apparently Jonathan Gannon is unaware of. Because I saw Jonathan Gannon yesterday, and he did a couple of little takes on his news conference and all that stuff, and we'll play you some cuts. I'm going to play this first one for you. This is Jonathan Gannon talking about Fletcher Cox and his confidence in him when it comes to the sack numbers, tackle for loss numbers that are, just behind what Fletcher Cox is doing. They're on the way, so nobody worry.
We like to move Fletch around. His skill set is one of that. It makes it a hard matchup for different people to block him. So that's one of the guys that I think, along with most of our guys, that's why we've trained them to play in different spots for matchup-driven reasons. So, and we got to continue to do that with Fletch to give him the best matchup possible. But there's not a guy that lines up on Fletch that, in my mind, that he cannot beat.
Let's talk about a certain individual I want to make sure I get this right. So when you guys go back and look for it, if you guys have NFL Game Pass, or you just go back to the game if you have it on DVR or whatever it might be, there's not one guy in Jonathan Gannon's mind that Fletcher Cox can line up against and Fletcher won't have success, okay? 3rd and 12. Remember the 3rd and 12 play I was talking about yesterday and Monday? And if you watch the post-game show with myself and Derek Gunn and Devin Caney and John McMullen, you heard me bring this up a couple of times. 3rd and 12 with 14:16 to go in the second quarter. So it was just the start of the second quarter. 3rd and 12. The Kansas City Chiefs actually just had a penalty called them. So they had a 5-yard penalty. They had to move back 5 yards. 3rd and 12 at the 14:16 mark of the second quarter. Fletcher Cox, for the second play in a row at least, is one-on-one. No double team. No nothing. No exhaustion. Second quarter of the game. You've just through one quarter. So I can't hear exhaustion, all right? Second consecutive play, one-on-one battle, second consecutive play, not getting any penetration. The one guy, apparently, the Fletcher Cox has trouble with here, according to Jonathan Gannon, but apparently Jonathan Gannon thinks nobody has a problem when Fletcher Cox is lined up one-on-one on him. Trey Smith. 6th round draft pick from this past draft. Rookie right guard Trey Smith owned Fletcher Cox, veteran $100 million man in this game with the Kansas City Chiefs in one-on-one battles. That's not good. You can't talk about it. Oh, the scheme, what the scheme is going to be. No, because Jonathan Gannon even said during the press conference he doesn't have a scheme. He coaches the players that he had. Hey, look, that wasn't on Fletcher. That wasn't on Jonathan Gannon. That was on Fletcher Cox. And it seemed like whenever I was looking at Fletcher Cox, like, hey, where's he? Is he going to make a big play here? Is he in on this play? And I go back and watch it because oftentimes I'll go back like during a commercial and I'll rewatch the play because I want to see, how the defensive line tried to get penetration. Also try to see who was in coverage on this particular play, even if they didn't throw to that side, whatever it might be. And more often than not, when I went back to look at Fletcher Cox, whether or not he was double teamed, he wasn't. And the one play that really stuck out to me, because it was so clear, because on this particular play, when you go back and watch it, Fletcher Cox is being blocked by Smith, and he's standing there, and the play goes to the opposite side, goes to the top of your screen, as they would say. And Patrick Mahomes is running 12 yards for the first down. And you see the 91, you see Fletcher Cox's back to you, and you go, who's that getting owned? 91, Fletcher Cox? Oh, my God. And then you look up who's he? Wait, hold on. What's the matchup there? Who's he against? Oh, a rookie 6th-round pick. Oh, this is going great. Now, look at the Eagles' offensive line, for instance. What's Jason Kelce? A 6th-round pick as well. He's had a pretty good NFL career, but still, he's a rookie. That's ridiculous. There is no way that Fletcher Cox should be losing that particular one-on-one battle, especially when he is having as many struggles as he is having this year. So go back and look at that. Number 65, Trey Smith, he basically spanked Fletcher Cox throughout the day. And you can't have that. These are the games that if you're a veteran defensive lineman and you're already missing a veteran defensive end in Brandon Graham, and Josh Sweat is still very much coming into his own, not dominant by any means, but you can see that there is, at least in this game, a little bit in the Cowboys game, a little bit in the San Francisco game, you could see him get to the quarterback a couple of times. You're like, okay, this is good. Let's convert these into actual sacks and hopefully not have a penalty downfield that may or may not have aided Josh Sweat actually coming up to make the play. So when you go back and watch this, number 65, you think to yourself, these are the games Fletcher Cox needs to step up. When you don't have that veteran edge rusher, when you don't have a veteran edge rusher like Ryan Kerrigan really doing much of anything in his first 4 games as a Philadelphia Eagle, and you have an up-and-comer like Josh Sweat, there's one guy that needs to be your constant. And Javon Hargraves has been great, but a lot of those instances haven't been because Fletcher Cox has been double-teamed. It's because he's been great. Simple as that. So Fletcher Cox, as a leader on this team, as a veteran on this team, should be looking at games like this against Kansas City Chiefs, where he's going to be lined up against a rookie, as games where he can tee off. And he didn't do that. And that's disappointing. Now, it can lead to plenty of questions. Why isn't he doing it? Well, there's some legit answers. Like sometimes he is lined up in more of a 3-4 front than a 4-3 front. And that's not when he's at his best. This particular game, I didn't see a whole lot of that. I've seen a lot of that elsewhere, which could definitely lend itself to why he's not having as great numbers, an impactful season with the numbers that are out there. So that's something you could definitely look at. But this particular game, these particular plays that I'm highlighting right now, you can't really argue. It's not because that Fletcher Cox is being used improperly. It's because he is losing one-on-one battles that your defensive coordinator just told you. I don't think there's a guy in this league that can stop Fletcher Cox. I got one. Rookie 6th-round pick, Trey Smith. He just did it a couple of times, more than a couple of times. That's one guy. No? That was just a frustrating thing. The other thing that we'll get to a little bit later when it comes to Jonathan Gannon, and we'll get into this with G. Cobb when he talks to us coming up in a little bit, is the whole idea of not having a scheme. This is on the heels of Nick Sirianni saying something very similar. When it comes to not coaching players to what you want to do, but coaching players in terms of what puts them in the best possible position to win and have success. I've heard a lot of coaches say that. Hell, I heard Andy Reid say that when he was here in Philadelphia. A lot of coaches say that. Not everybody does it. You know why they say that? Because every time somebody's talking about a great coach, you know what the first compliment is? It's, oh, you know what's so great about him? He doesn't really even have a scheme. He just coaches to what he has. And I think every coach wants to make sure that's in their job description, so they try banging you over the head with it, even though when you're watching the game, you're like, hey, they're not doing that thing where they're using their best players in the best possible position to make plays, i.e. Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders, as much as I like to see him catch the ball out of the backfield, that's not when he's at his best. He's best when he is running the football. Let's give him an opportunity to do that a little bit more. And although I've said a million times, this isn't a game where I've harped on that, but anytime you only give a guy 2 carries, like against Dallas Cowboys, 3 carries against Dallas Cowboys. That's going to stick with me for a long time. That's not putting Miles Sanders in the best possible position to make a play for you, because you know what? You're not even put in a position to make a play for you. And I don't even want to hear about how, the defense took that away. So the defense could just take Miles Sanders away at that? No problem? All right. How about a little bit of a scheme? How about a little bit of a scheme there, Nick Sirianni, where, okay, they're going to take it away here. Well, guess what? We're going to come back and get him on this play. There was no come back and get him on this play. And if they're going to continuously take Miles Sanders by taking him out of the game by putting 8 men in the box or whatever it might be, all right, let's open up the field. Let's stretch the field. Let's make them play Miles Sanders and get him the football. Folks, it's just frustrating. One of the other things that came up in this press conference with Jonathan Gannon was the goal line play where Wilson was covering Eric Wilson was covering Tyreek Hill in a goal line situation. And John McMullen, Johnny Mac, asked the question of questions. Like, what do you do in that scenario? When they catch you essentially with your pants down, and Gannon did tip his cap to Andy Reid, saying Andy Reid had a good play design there. He got us, off guard. Good job by him. But John McMullen asked Jonathan Gannon, so what do you do in that situation when you're just caught in that play? You're going to call timeout? You're going to try to change the play? What is it? And Jonathan Gannon, well, let's just see it later. Jonathan Gannon's reaction to it was, I'm not going to call timeout. John, what is that? I'm not going to call timeout. I'm going to leave it to the head coach. So that's a good thing to know going forward. Because as I highlighted earlier in the week, when you saw Chase Claypool being covered by Nate Garry last year in Pittsburgh, the game that Jeffrey Lurie did not go to, apparently because he was frustrated, you saw Chase Claypool being guarded by Nate Garry, and I remember interviewing Avonte Maddox after that game, and Avonte Maddox said that anybody can call timeout. So that would have been an example of Jim Schwartz maybe going, damn it, timeout, because he saw a linebacker over a guy that already had 3 touchdowns in the game. So once you see Eric Wilson, a linebacker, covering Tyreek Hill, goal line, timeout. Apparently that's not the case. Apparently the only person with authority to call timeout from the sideline is the head coach, which doesn't sound that crazy to me, but under maybe the Jim Schwartz, Doug Peterson era, maybe Jim Schwartz had a little bit more freedom because he wasn't a first-time defensive coordinator like Jonathan Gannon is. So Jonathan Gannon said, I'm not going to call timeout. Just let's keep this in mind for future reference, just in case this happens again. And I even brought up the question, can Jonathan Gannon call a timeout in that situation? So Gannon basically said they just got caught. They got out-schemed. They the chess game that Andy Reid was playing couldn't be matched, or at least risen to the level by Jonathan Gannon while he was playing checkers in this particular situation. Wildly frustrating, because you never want to see Jonathan Gannon talked yesterday about having 3 things they need to do to win, and they changed throughout the weeks, throughout the schedule. Well, one of the things would be, okay, I know this is obvious, you guys, but we can't have a linebacker covering this guy right here, Tyreek Hill. See that on the board? That's what we're going to do. We don't want a linebacker on that guy. If a linebacker comes on that guy, then we have a problem. We have a problem right there. Apparently that wasn't one of the 3 things, evidently. Anyway, so it was wildly frustrating to watch that. In case you missed it, what was it, 3.1 million? Is that how much it was, that little Center City pad that Ben Simmons has? So that's up for sale. There'll be a lot of jokes made at Ben Simmons' expense, and I'll certainly make a few myself with pleasure. But apparently the holdout's working because the guy can't afford a Center City pad anymore. It's a shame. You hate to see it. I guess I'll have to stay in L.A. with that $17.5 million house that he has that still has no basketball hoop in the driveway. Damn ridiculous, if you ask me. Also, real quick mention on the Flyers, Martin Jones was in net last night. It's Martin, by the way. It's not Martin, for those that just because he's a hockey player, I think it's Martin. Martin Jones, he was in net last night for all 3 goals. Flyers lost 3-0 unfortunately. Sixers back in action tonight against the Toronto Raptors and some more preseason play. So we'll cover a little bit more of that in the morning rush segment. But let me tell you about my good friend Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. 40 years, ladies and gentlemen, over 40 years in Philadelphia, taking care of people in the love business. That's what Steven Singer does, the love business. And he wants to show his love to you right before you show your love to that special someone in your life. So when you're looking to get engaged, trust nobody more than Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, right in Philadelphia, because, again, for over 40 years, this guy's been making people smile, making people happy in the love business. And one of the best ways you could do that is eliminate negotiating, eliminate haggling. Don't worry about that. Just go in, know you're going to get taken care of, because what you're buying is not wildly marked up just to mark it down in front of you to make you feel like you're getting some kind of deal. No, don't feel like you have to work for that or earn that. It's already given to you, so you can just relax and pick out the perfect piece of jewelry that you want. Because some other jewelers, you know why they like to say, I hate Steven Singer? It's because he doesn't play any games. There's no haggling games here. You just walk in, no pressure, sit down, enjoy all the beautiful inventory, and let somebody walk you through it that really knows what they're doing, a real jewelry expert. That's what they offer at Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. And don't forget, you can look at all the inventory at IHateStevenSinger.com. Also use the appointment scheduler at IHateStevenSinger.com. Make yourself an appointment. Go down to the other corner of 8th and Walnut right in Philadelphia and just experience what I'm telling you about. It's an incredible place with incredible people that has incredible inventory. The perfect price every single time. No discounts, no coupons, no promo codes. You walk in, just know you're going to get treated like family every single time at Steven Singer Jewelers. IHateStevenSinger.com. Always fast and free shipping at IHateStevenSinger.com. Other corner of 8th and Walnut right in Philadelphia. Without further ado, I'm not kidding you, folks. A couple of weeks ago when Big Daddy Graham passed away, I regaled you with some stories of producing his show and how much fun that was. Well, Big Daddy would usually take over at 2 o'clock. All right. When I was just starting out, occasionally it'd be like a 1 o'clock start, whatever. But usually there would be like Glenn Macnow going off the air at like 10 or 11. And then there'd be like a 3-hour shift in between the evening show and the overnight show. And a lot of times that was Garry Cobb. And if Garry was in, it was just a great time because he was just a lot of fun. He was so unbelievably real. And I'll tell you this, I'm going to let you in a little inside thing here with Garry Cobb. If you ask Garry Cobb a question, there's usually and there's that little pause. In that pause, he's saying what he really, 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 really wants to say. He's saying that to himself in his head. And then he's trying to make it so it either makes sense or is not as offensive to the listener. Because I would ask him similar questions that might get asked later in the show. If a caller called up whenever he come into the producer studio and we'd chop it up. And he would answer me one way, and then on the air, he'd be like, can't say that. And then he would answer it that way. So it's a little thing I've noticed with Garry. But G is the absolute man. We had done a couple of hits together at Fox 29, and I love this guy. He's just the best. Without further ado, joining us on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line, our good, in case you're just joining the show, Hollis Thomas will join us tomorrow, and we'll get the defensive tackle perspective there. But without further ado, my good friend, G. Cobb with you right here on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line. And joining us right now on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line, one of my favorite people to come through the fighting city of Philadelphia, played 3 years right here in Philadelphia as a member of a pretty popular defense, a decade plus in the NFL itself. You know him, you love him, Mr. Garry Cobb. G. Cobb with you. What's up there, Garry Cobb?
How you doing? Yeah, it's good to be here. Very interesting year, boy. This Eagles team, this thing is getting interesting, but I'm enjoying it, and I'm glad to be, Philadelphia, man. Love being here in Philly, and of course, you got a lot of things happening with the Phillies. Their season's over. Ben Simmons, he won't get right, and of course, you got our Philadelphia Eagles, man. They started us up, and we'll see where it goes. It's going to be a very interesting year.
Is it true that you're going to buy Ben Simmons' condo in Center City? Is that rumor correct?
Yeah. I'm going to buy his condo, all right. I'm going to buy some sneakers for him, But yeah, I've heard he's got that condo in Philly, a nice spot down there. But no, you know what? I think I'll pass this time. You know?
He's trying to live like that Garry Cobb was in 1986. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Know what I'm saying?
I was living like that. That's right. Yeah, I was making what 30? He's making about 30 million or something. Yeah.
So I have to start off with this, and we're going to get to the Eagles, talk about the defense. Obviously, that's what we'll get into mostly. But I have to start off with this because you don't get enough credit, good sir. You don't get enough credit for two things. One, being one of the most fun people to ever produce for at WIP back in the day when I was just a lowly producer. You don't get enough credit for that, and you also don't get enough credit. You really started this div way back when with gcobb.com. And you were one of the first people to keep an updated sports blog that was independent of, the major networks and print media in the city of Philadelphia. gcobb.com is kind of where it all started, my friend.
Well, I guess I was dabbling and kind of hit on some, and I enjoyed it because there were a lot of people that where I got a chance to communicate with, and people still talk to me about it. I really don't have the impetus to really keep it up like that, but it was fun because I got a chance to communicate with people. And you're right, it gave me a chance really to communicate and give my opinion about what was going on. Mm-hmm. And you can see that you got a lot of other people doing that now because people want to hear genuine opinions, and they have them. They want to share theirs. They want to hear what other people had to say. And that's really, I think, what started. And the fact that it was here in Philadelphia where, when I first came here, when I first got traded here, I got traded here from Detroit. So I come in, I'm over at this hotel over there by the vet then. And an old lady comes up, she says, are you that new guy? Yeah, I'm the new guy. You tell Ron Jaworski he better blankety blank. And I said, oh my goodness, what is but she introduced me to Philadelphia, and the lady made it clear she wanted Ron to have a better season. Oh, and she didn't appreciate some of the interceptions and everything. And I said, oh my goodness, so it was fun. But Philly, you got a lot of people emulating Philadelphia nationwide. That's really what's going on. A lot of what happened with with sports radio, with opinionated and everything. A lot of it started here in Philly. You got everybody else kind of copying.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. Something I'd like to see start up here in Philadelphia, and this will be a terrible transition, but I'd like to see a nice defense start up here in Philadelphia.
Okay. Have you seen a defense in town?
For a second, like there was two games where I saw one, and then I don't know, it was like they went into some back room on South Street, and we never saw them again.
Yeah, if you find them, you call the Eagles quickly because they're looking for one. They're looking for a defense. But
you got it.
The big thing is Jonathan Gannon, the defensive coordinator, his theory is what he's trying to do is play in a too deep zone. He's trying to play. And he wants to keep everything in front of them. He doesn't want teams to be able to score quickly. And he doesn't believe teams can march the ball the length of the field against them and not make any mistakes. And the last two games, he's been wrong. I mean, it just, he's been wrong.
Uh-huh.
And there are other people that have that theory, but the thing is, they just don't have the talent. I mean, the linebacker talent they have is not good enough. I mean, these guys don't get off blocks. They're not able to make tackles where you got to keep the gains under 4 yards, so that, it's not, 7 yards and boom, then they got a first down. And on second down, you got a, 2nd and 3, which really doesn't allow you to get much done. But they got a problem there, and they're really not getting to play. I mean, I don't want to put everything on Fletcher, but I saw in the last game they started single blocking Fletcher, and they were doubling Hargrave. You know? See, now once you see that start, now Fletcher's got to answer. Come on, he's got to be dominant. He's got to show. Look, there's a reason they gave me that $100 million contract. So, but he hasn't done it yet. And I think the heat is going to get turned up on him because, I've seen that he still has the capability. But he, sometimes the guy needs to be pushed, and if I were to coach, he would not like me this week.
Oh, okay. So this is all right. I was just going to ask you.
He wouldn't like me this week.
Is it a matter of scheme, how they're scheming with Fletcher Cox, or is it a matter of him losing an edge, losing motivation, just getting older? Like what is it with Fletcher Cox? Why don't you think he's been successful?
I think definitely he doesn't have the edge. He's not playing with the tenacity, and he's got to have that. I mean, as you get older, hey, you come out for a couple plays. That's no problem. But while you're in there, you got to be going 100. You got to give us all you got, man. And once they start single blocking you, now you're showing, look, you're not giving us everything you've got. And really what I saw is he started taking the double teams off, meaning like if he saw he was going to be double teamed, he just basically stood there for the play. He wasn't giving all out. And I can understand that mentality, even though you stopped, Aaron Donald doesn't do that.
Right.
They tell you when you're getting doubled, you just focus on one guy, attack one guy. And if you beat him, a lot of times the other guy will miss you. So they tell you to do that, but he's not giving 100% all the time. And now he's gonna get the highlight on is gonna be on him because he's got to give more than that. I mean, and the whole thing is, see, right now, I don't hear the gravity of the toughness that you need as a coach. Hey, it's got to get personal. You got to be able to get into that guy's face and let it get personal, where in front of the other guys, where he doesn't want to get embarrassed. And the way they used to do on us, if they be in that meeting and they point that arrow and go, "Who is this here?" We got 10 guys fighting for their lives, and we got one, son of a bee. Look at him. He's stealing from every one of us. A thief.
Wow.
Hey, it's got to get personal because first you start off, you have the personal eye-to-eye talk and say, "Hey, Fletcher, man, hey, we need more out of you, man. Look, if you get tired, give me this and I'll get you out. But while you're in there, we want 100%. Now, they're starting to double team Javon. You're single block. We know these guys can't block you, man. If you're giving us everything you got, because I've already seen him that if he really wants to create problems, they can't block him. Mm-hmm. Because I've seen, him give that effort. But he's not giving, the effort all the time. And I would tell him, look, we don't want to have to embarrass you, man. But we will sit you down. And
yeah,
so,
see, what you say is like with the whole laser pointer and all that stuff. Like, I don't see Jonathan Gannon doing that with Fletcher Cox. As much as I'd love to see it, like that's where G. Cobb needs to come in the NovaCare complex and tell everybody what's what.
As a coach, you got to have, some canyons. You know what I mean? You got to have a pair.
Well, I know. Of course, I know what you mean.
Hey, and if you don't, your players will find out that you're scared of them. You can't be scared of the players. You got to tell them, man, I'm not scared of any of you guys, man. You know what? Buddy Ryan used to say this. He said, look, now some of these guys really he couldn't do it to, but he used to say, you know what? My blade is sharper than any of you guys' blade. See, I can cut you. And hey, I'll cut you, cut your payoff. Don't think you're tougher than me. And I'm not afraid of you guys. Look, because, back then, of course, he could cut us.
I definitely don't see Jonathan Gannon. I don't see Jonathan Gannon saying that either.
You're probably right, and that's a reason they need to have somebody on the coaching staff that's got some, don't have a problem looking these guys in the eye, man. Go, look, dude. I respect you and everything, but I'm not afraid of you. And if you're not gonna give us effort, I'm gonna sit you down over. You're gonna be standing over here with me. Be standing right over here next to me.
Schematically, is Jonathan Gannon using what he does have well? Like aside from Fletcher Cox lack of effort or getting tired, whatever it might be, lack of motivation, is Jonathan Gannon scheming to what he has talent-wise?
No, I don't think he's doing enough. He's being very simple. he's playing a 2-deep zone and he's jumping in, a regular, 4-man line, with the 2 linebackers. And, what he's really got is, of course, you're playing nickel most of the time. But the thing is, they've got 7 guys in the box because they have the 2 safeties deep. See, when you have the 2 safeties deep, you know that you're not playing, you don't have 8 guys up. So it's somewhat vulnerable to the run unless you have some outstanding linebackers. Now, they're really trying to copy Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay played this in the Super Bowl versus the Chiefs, and they were able to, to control them. Mm-hmm. But what they do is, at linebacker, both of them can run almost with wide receivers. They can run, and they're playmakers, and they're tough, and they're aggressive. And so if they get a run at them, first of all, if they even sneeze a run at them, they attack. And Alex Singleton and Eric Wilson, they're not attacking hard. I was going to tell them, hey, I'm going to send Jeremiah Trotter over there. Because Jeremiah, he would attack the guards so hard that some of the guards didn't want to come out on him, man. So you have to have that kind of, you got to have that type of tenacity to where when this guy stops, first of all, a lot of times they've been double teaming the tackles. Well, when they try to double team the tackles, you attack one of them and they're vulnerable and bust them right up under the chin. And they won't like that. And so they'll stop that double team and they'll be coming out on you. Either way, you got to plug up that gap and hold those at 2 or 3 yard gains, maybe 4, but they can't be 6, 7, and 8 yard gains. Come on, it's 2nd and 2, 2nd and 3. It's the offense has an advantage. So I think they need to start running some stunts too, because they're not doing anything. You got to do some things to shake the offense up. So there's things they got to think about, but they can't just sit there in that, especially if the team is gouging them. You got to make an adjustment. You can't sit there on the sideline and just watch them just go up and down the field where they have 7 drives and 6 of them are into the end zone. No, you can't do that. And he did it against Dallas, did it against the Chiefs. And now, he's got to make some adjustments. You got to do something. So, if you got to put other people in there, I would put TJ Edwards in there. Eric Wilson, he can't play the run. He's not aggressive. Mm-hmm. Singleton makes a lot of tackles. They're just too far downfield. He's not big and he's not thick enough. He's kind of lean. Mm-hmm. And these guys got a 50-pound advantage on him. Yeah. When they come out. So they're either going to have to get out of that. You know what? And sometimes you can give them that look and last second you move into something else. You move the safety up. So you got an extra body over there to make a tackle, see? Yeah. But you can't just sit there in it. And so far, Jonathan Gannon, he just sits right there in that 2 deep zone. And, so far you see in these last 2 games, they're not good enough to play that. And, I would get Fletcher fired up. He would hate me, but I would get more out of him. And then, some of the other kids out there, like Josh Sweat, I think he needs to play smarter. I mean, that's stupid, that penalty, but the whole coaching staff, I don't know if they got, the toughness to where they can really get these guys on their nerve to where they give you a better effort. Right. And I don't see it there because, even with Nick Sirianni, he's talking about, I had to, what did he say? I had to say it a little
harsh conversations.
Yeah. What did he say?
Harsher conversations.
Yeah, harsher conversations. Look, dude, that don't even sound like, I mean, who's going to be intimidated by that, man? But as a head coach, you got to have that side to you. It's kind of like the military, where you got to have an edge to you that your players respect. Meaning, you got to have a side to you where they go like, this dude, he's not no chump, and I don't know if he has that yet. He's got to know that these guys that play in the NFL, these guys, if they see that softness in you, man, they're not, they're sitting there chewing gum, what did you say again? You can't. You got to be able to command their respect. And some guys, you got to find them, man. Now that'll get a guy's attention.
I'm sure it would. I want to get a couple more things in here with you. Real quick, Jalen Hurts, overall impressions with him as, coming into the season as the first time ever as the starter. Early impressions of Jalen Hurts.
Well, it's been good and it's been bad. I mean, he's had more good than bad. And, of course, this last game is a big positive. The big thing with Jalen is he's got to make sure that he's not letting his ability to run, that he doesn't let that hurt and slow down his development as a quarterback. Because sometimes, and I saw this happen with Randall Cunningham, sometimes a running quarterback starts running too much and he's not going through the progressions in his mind, like my first option, second option, third option. See, quarterback's got to be doing that every play. First option, second option. He's got to do it quickly. The quicker he can do it, the better quarterback he becomes, see, where he's able to read. First option, is it open? No. Number two, number three. He does that every play. Now, if he gets to the point where he comes up to the line of scrimmage, and I saw Randall Cunningham do this, he's looking to see if there's any gap in the pass rush because he's going to scramble. Not even looking downfield. That's not, you don't grow as a quarterback like that. So I saw Nick getting on Jalen a number of times out at at training camp for him taking off too soon. That's something he's got to watch. He did a good job this last game against the Cowboys. Sometimes he wasn't even looking downfield. Boom, he's just going to take off. That's not quarterbacking. See, that's not NFL quarterbacking. And you're not going to progress if you just lean on that. So that's the big thing with Jalen. He did a good job this past game, and then sometimes he just is inaccurate. You wonder, like the first interception against the Cowboys where he threw it deep. Hey, Jalen Reagor had a step on the guy. Throw the ball into the end zone where either he gets it or nobody gets it. Mm-hmm. So that was badly underthrown. You can't, if he does that a lot, then hey, you got the wrong guy. So he's got to, patch that up. He didn't do that this past game. He had quite a few accurate throws downfield. So he's getting better at that. But so far, I think, still got thumbs up. But, you got to look at more of him.
Right. Last thing for you, Garry. You're doing something incredible right now with the NFL alumni, and also soon to be NFL players. What can you tell us about what you're doing for these guys that are NFL hopefuls or guys that are now alumni?
Well, I look at, the NFL has me where they call it position, we're a transition coach. We basically help guys transition out of the league into another career. Now, the majority of guys in the NFL, they play 2 or 3 years. We hear about the guys that play longer because they come around, you talk about them a lot more. But most of the guys are in and out. A lot of guys play special teams and they're in 1 year or 2 years, boom, and then they're out. And what we do is we help them transition into another career. We have partners that will give these guys jobs, and they can end up, working for a company like Nike, like Target, quite a few other big companies. And we try to help them get jobs in different areas depending on what the guy wants to do. And it takes a while for a guy to admit, first of all, that his career is over, because some guys get in denial and they want to keep working out, and you're going like, hey, you ever heard him from anybody in 4 years? Dude, nobody's calling, but you see, you've done it all your life to get there, and they have to realize, hey, look, your career's over, right? And then move on. So it can get to where, believe me, I've had the numerous guys where, the guys, hey, got some tears to shed. But I say, hey, get that done and everything. And now we got to move on, man, because, you got a family to take care of and everything. So I do that. And, of course, I get a chance, to talk about the Eagles on Fox 29, which I enjoy. And, talk about the Eagles, go over there and, see how they're making out. But, that's what I do, though, with the guys. So I enjoy it. And I've got a new group of guys, about 20 guys. They're all former players. And then they don't come right away. See, some of these guys, 2, 3, some 4 years, they've been out of the league. Now they say, hey, I got to move on. And then I will help them, with talking to them and seeing what they want to do. And then we help them get started with another career.
Well, if you ever come across a linebacker that's only about a year out of the league, just persuade him to the Eagles and just give Go on down to Broad Street, see what happens.
As long as he can play.
As long as he can play. Yeah,
we got some guys that have got uniforms on, but
Well, what was Trot? Trot was out of the league, 2 years before he came back to play for the Eagles that last go around, where they got beat by Dallas twice twice to end the season.
I guess so.
Whatever
I don't know
it was.
how long he was out, but you're right. He did come back, but I don't think we want Trot to come back. Even though, you know what, we might want him to come back.
Well, his son apparently is tearing things up. At Clemson? I think he's at now.
Hey, he's got a son. This kid is a player.
Yeah, man.
This kid a player. You're going to see him in due time. No doubt about it.
Other than that, Urban Meyer, is he going to take over USC? What's going on?
Well, I'll tell you what. They got a lot of people out there that dance a lot. So
he can party.
And he likes dancing, right?
What you don't say?
They got a lot of those places out there. If that's what seriously, things could go south for him. When your owner says something, that's not good.
That's a bad thing.
That's a bad thing. So
that's a bad thing. Usually, in Urban Meyer's case, it might be the greatest thing ever.
Hey, the thing is that USC, they want a better recruiter out there because USC has got guys, they got quarterbacks for Alabama, for all these other teams. They're quarterbacks from places right around USC, and they let them all get out of there, and they're not happy about it. So they are going to get a big-time coach. There's no doubt about that.
Easy enough. Garry Cobb, G Cobb, formerly of GarryCobb.com, a fine website. Fox 29. Make sure you guys check him out all the time on the social media networks as well. G, when they hit me up a couple of weeks ago and said you're going to be on with Garry Cobb when we did the Fox Morning Hit 2 weeks ago, I was like, hot damn. I love me some Garry Cobb. G, thanks so much for coming on the Farzy Show, man. I really appreciate it. I'll see you again soon.
Mark, I appreciate it and I enjoyed it. Hey, you let me know. I'm available.
You're the man. Garry Cobb joining us here on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line. Love that, man. Can't say it enough. Big fan of gcobb.com. Garry Cobb, ladies and gentlemen. 10 plus years in the NFL. As I'm looking up some fine stuff. I do enjoy him very much. I think he's hilarious, and I think he really knows what he's talking about. And I would love for him to be a motivational speaker for just about anybody in the NFL, to see them reach their full potential. Let me tell you about my good friends at Rothman Orthopaedics. Rothman Orthopaedics, of course, sponsors our great guest line. And Rothman Orthopaedics does a phenomenal job. Hey, you remember the old you? Remember the one that didn't have to put up with a fickle knee, a finicky hip, or a shoulder that no longer does what a shoulder should do? Well, the Rothman approach to orthopedics is here to get you back to being you, back to running, walking, working, and playing, back to living your life the way you want. With same-day appointments available, you can start today at RothmanOrtho.com. That's RothmanOrtho.com. Rothman Orthopaedics, the official orthopedic partner of your Phillies, Eagles, and Sixers. BetQL, gotten some bets last night. Thank goodness to BetQL. BetQL does a wonderful job. It's not a sports book, but it's a way to get the edge over your sports book. You need to download the BetQL app right now to make sure you're making the smart bets. Their best bets computer model scans over 350,000 unique bets per year to give you the best bet recommendation for every game across all major sports. And they give you the reasoning behind why you should place the bet as well. Their model covers everything from point spreads, over-unders, player props as well. You don't want to use their model and prefer to do your own research? Well, BetQL has the necessary tools for your betting research needs. Everything from sharp data, line movement, team summaries, lineups, injuries, breaking news. They even have a leaderboard for you to track your own success. Head to the App Store or Google Play Store now to download the BetQL app. How about our friends over at Steak and Maine? SteakandMaine.com, voted #1 place for steaks in America by the Travel Channel and the Cooking Channel. Check it out for yourself. Go to SteakandMaine.com. They're open every day for lunch, dinner, as well as Sunday brunch. Steak and Maine in the heart of Northeast Maryland. I always recommend the 2-pound tomahawk steak. Still taste it. Casual bar. They have a great casual bar, beautiful patio, upscale steakhouse if you prefer dining in there. They got it all. Steak and Maine. Fresh, prime cut meats, fresh seafood, world-class oyster bar, and freshly prepared sushi. All that in an extensive wine list, so make sure you have a nice little wine pairing there with Cavada Cellars Wines. Steak and Maine in the heart of Northeast Maryland, steakandmaine.com. How about WinView? This is where I got my bets in last night. I used BetQL to aid my WinView bets with a couple of friends on last night's game. Thank goodness I took advantage of the Red Sox taking care of business against the New York Yankees. That was fun. Garrett Cole, see you later. Early exit. WinView is the only game where fans can take on other fans and end the debate once and for all. Who knows more? Who's the bigger sports fan? Have those friends who claim they know everything, family members that claim they know everything. Use the WinView app right now to start a WinView contest and see if they can walk the walk as well as talk the talk. If you want to break up the monotony of family dinners and get-togethers, play a WinView quarter of Monday Night Football or maybe Sunday Night Football, maybe a baseball game. Put a little skin in the game for yourself. It's the perfect way to add a little extra layer of competition to your fantasy league. While you're tracking the games on Sunday, you can also make sure you take advantage of other bets going on there with WinView app. It's not a fantasy, not daily fantasy. It's not a sports book. It's simply a social gaming app where you can win real money prizes for making predictions on the games you love. So download the WinView app right now. And how about our friends over at PHL Sports Nation? That's Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience. Let's jump into our social media check-in brought to you by Steak and Maine and steakandmaine.com. Here it is. See a lot of you guys commenting, going back and forth. Seems like you guys really enjoyed Garry Cobb. I also enjoyed Garry Cobb's shirt. Thank you, Dan. April's checking in. Good morning, April. April, I want to say it on the show. Congrats to your daughter. Just kicking butts in karate. That's right. April sent me a little something on Instagram of her daughter in full-fledged karate mode. So good for her. I don't want to brag, April, and I don't want to steal your daughter's thunder. But I also don't want to scare people in case they encounter me on the street. I'm a white belt with 2 stripes, okay? People in the karate world know what that means. So if you see me on the streets, folks, see me at a game or something, no sudden movements. I don't want to have to go back to my karate instincts. Anyway, no, but seriously, congrats to your daughter. Mally's checking in. What's up, Mally? Dan, what's popping? Dante, what's happening, Dante? Good morning to you. Broads, what's up, my brother Broads? Good morning. Kevin's checking in. Good morning, Farzy. Good morning to you, Kevin. Mally, coffee on you, Broads? Coffee with Broads. 9 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken, for people later in life. Little behind-the-scenes peek there. Garry Cobb. Mally's excited that Garry Cobb. Ooh. Josh Innes with Tank would be a fun show. Love both those guys. Josh and I still keep in touch. Mally G Cobb is a beast on Twitter. Dan said it's about being unmotivated for Fletcher. You know, that's a scary thing. When Garry talked about being unmotivated, that's a scary thing. That's a real scary thing. And I don't know what it's going to take to light that fire. But I'll tell you this much. Letting a rookie get the best of you, that's a problem. April saying Hollis's IG is some of the funniest-ish I've ever seen. Hollis on Instagram is just flat out hilarious. And you know, when Instagram was down the other day, first off, I just said a prayer for all the Instagram models that they're okay. And then second, I was like, oh my God, I just really miss Hollis. Mally's checking in. Gannon makes Castillo look like a defensive guru. You know what? I always say this when it comes to Juan Castillo. Not that I'm ever going to die on Juan Castillo Hill or anything like that. But after Jim Johnson, Juan Castillo had the best numbers as a defensive coordinator, better than Billy Davis until Jim Schwartz got here. Like whoever, I forget who it was that took over. I think it was even Todd Bowles. I think took over for Juan Castillo. But Juan Castillo still, I think, had a top 10 running defense and passing defense. And that had been done. Jim Schwartz, then obviously was Sean McDermott, who's now killing it in Buffalo. But Juan Castillo, and then Billy Davis numbers were terrible because Chip Kelly didn't care about defense. And then it took a while, and then Jim Schwartz's numbers got up there as well. Sean, that's an astute observation. You got to see some of the Cox, Cox filled the void left behind by Graham. You got to see it. I love Matt Rule because of Temple. Henry, what's happening? I hated Matt Rule when he left Temple. I will say, I love Matt Rule. He's a great guy. I'm a fan of his. I just hate that he left. I wish he was still at Temple. But bigger and better things, I guess. What is he? One loss so far in the NFL this year? Ben is an MF. I agree with you, Dan. Craig, what's up? Craig says, Cobb. Dan, was Ben? I'm not going there. Nice, Dan. Rick's checking in saying he loves G. We all love G. Rick also says, Garry Cobb needs to whip them into shape. I agree. I just wonder if you can handle a modern athlete like you could handle them back in the G Cobb's day, because I'm going to go ahead and assume not. Benny's checking in saying Sealski is probably loving the Eagles season. Come on, Benny. Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. I know people that get very offended when you confuse karate with anything else. Taekwondo is what she does. Taekwondo. And she is a beast. And she would beat me up with my with your stripes. Ooh, with my stripes and April's daughter's belts, we'd be a fierce combo. Maybe we'll go around the city fighting crime. I'll come down to the Carolinas. I'll fight crime with your daughter. As long as as long as she's in first, she beats everybody up, and then I go and I'm like, well, I'm glad I could be here to help, like the stupid sidekick, like that guy. I could do that. Still not worse than any other player in the NBA history to refuse to shoot the ball. Makes Rondo look like Curry. Dan, you're not far off in talking about that Ben Simmons clown. Sal's just laughing, having himself a time. That's cool. Thanks for everyone that checked in our social media check-in brought to you by Steak and Maine and steakandmaine.com. April, once again, congratulations to your daughter in Taekwondo. And that's what we got. Here's what I was mentioning earlier. So I just want to hit this one more time with our good friend Jonathan Gannon. Take a listen to this.
We like to move Fletch around. His skill set is one of that. It makes it a hard matchup for different people to block him. So that's one of the guys that I think, along with most of our guys, that's why we've trained them to play in different spots for matchup-driven reasons. So, and we got to continue to do that with Fletch to give him the best matchup possible. But there's not a guy that lines up on Fletch that, in my mind, that he cannot beat.
All right. There's not a guy that lines up on Fletch in his mind that he cannot beat. I want to show you. Now, NFL is very strict on, especially on the internet, re-showing NFL plays, as a lot of leagues are. But the NFL is super strict. So I can only show you some clips here. And this is photos, I mean. There's not a guy in the NFL, in Jonathan Gannon's mind, that can stop Fletcher Cox. All right, I introduced to you again Trey Smith. Now, you see in the center of the screen there, number 91. That's Fletcher Cox. The guy that is blocking him right now is Trey Smith. Trey Smith, again, is a sixth-round rookie. You see the running back in the backfield there? I think that's Darren Williams, actually. He runs through the line of scrimmage, so he's not coming up to double team. Let's go to the next freeze frame here. Fletcher Cox right there in a one-on-one battle, still not beating Trey Smith, as Patrick Mahomes decides, I think I'm going to run out of here, and there he is gone. And now, again, out the bottom of your screen, you see, again, Fletcher Cox still tied up in a one-on-one battle with the offensive lineman. Rookie, sixth-round pick, Trey Smith. So with Jonathan Gannon, when you say that you can't think of anyone in your mind there that could beat Fletcher Cox, the Trey Smith, rookie, sixth-round pick from the Kansas City Chiefs. All right? That's one play. But that's one play I'm using as an example from many other plays throughout the day. There were one-on-one battles with Fletcher Cox versus Trey Smith. So that's just an example, folks. Also want to highlight this for some people that got all crazy about the Chris Sims quote-unquote report last week. I didn't really think anything of it. But Jason Lockenfora is saying the Eagles are not, you see the last line there, Eagles aren't pursuing Watson. Fine by me. And also that it looks like no other team is going to look into the Watson deal until things get settled with his off-the-field issues. This also came out last night from Adam Schefter. In-season surprise! Cowboys releasing Jalen Smith, linebacker. For all the good people of Philadelphia that are asking themselves right now, hey, would you go out there and would you get that Smith fella? I'm going to go ahead and say this. Hells yeah! I'd go out there and make that deal. I don't know. All right, make that deal. I'd go get him. And there's something even more enticing to it. And it's not just the fact that he's a second-round pick from 2016, that he's a Pro Bowl linebacker. It's not just that. It's something about the fact that the Cowboys would be paying him to make plays for the Eagles. That just makes it even more enticing. Imagine when the Eagles and the Cowboys square off again and Smith comes up and makes a big play. The Cowboys would be paying him to make plays against them. There's something about that that's just fantastic. So, yeah, I'd make that deal. Apparently not that great in coverage, but here's the thing. I like Alex Smith, and you were just hearing from G. Cobb there. Alex Smith, he's put on some pounds, right? But he's better than what you have. And I'm all about making that upgrade. And I'm all about making a little bit of an investment in the linebacker position. Would love to see it. The Eagles have seen more tape on this guy than anybody else. Love to see the Eagles actually make an addition to making their linebacking core better. That'd be nice. Let's see what they do there. Because Eric Wilson, guess what? He ain't in either. I think we've seen that. Speaking of which, I teased for you earlier, Jonathan Gannon talking about that situation where Eric Wilson was over the top on, or not over the top, was over Tyreek Hill. This is how the back and forth went with John McMullen, who joins us on the postgame show, the live postgame show. Derek Gunn, Devin Caney, myself. John McMullen joins us every week as well, following every Eagles game on the Jacob Media YouTube channel, as well as 6abc.com. But here's Jonathan Gannon talking about what he can do in that situation when he sees the linebacker covering Tyreek Hill. Apparently, it's not much.
From your perspective, what can you do when you realize you're getting caught? Are there checks built in? Do you have to call timeout? Do you just get caught? How does that kind of work?
I'm not going to call timeout, John. Nick handles that. Yeah, it's always going into the game plan. All right, here's the call. What are the adjustments within the call? Where is the soft spots of every call? Not one call takes away everything. And what are we asking our guys within each call to do? And who are they going to be on, and can they execute that? So
can they execute it? That's the situation where no, they can't. And again, he gives a hat tip to Andy Reid, but at some point you got to come around and you got to make a stop there. By the way, this is all part of our fine morning rush segment brought to you by Sky Motorcars and SkyMotorcars.com. That doesn't make me feel too good going forward because we could see it again. If Andy Reid did it, and that's now on film, what do you think Matt Rule and the Carolina Panthers are looking at this week? More Eagles film. So maybe find a way to check out of that. Maybe Nick Sirianni needs to allow his defensive coordinator when there's a horrific mismatch like that to actually switch off and say, or call a timeout and say, no, we can't have Eric Wilson on Tyreek Hill. That's ridiculous. Who would do that? The Eagles, apparently. The Eagles would do that. It's unbelievable. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening today, everybody. Much appreciated. Tomorrow, we're going to get even more of a look at Fletcher Cox by way of our good friend Hollis Thomas. We're going to be rolling tape tonight on an interview, so hopefully we'll have that for you guys tomorrow morning. Look forward to seeing what Hollis Thomas has to say about all things Fletcher Cox and it comes to his performance this week. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Jim Hyden produced the program. This is a Buzz Sports and Entertainment production. I'm Marc Farzetta from the Steven Singer Studios. Have a great rest of your day. Take it easy.